Hey! Alright guys and gals, it's Metalman8713 back again here today. How is everything going? We're now back to part 2 of this Ident history video for Christmas for BBC One and BBC Two. The name for the title, I haven't really thought about it yet, but I will think about it eventually. Anyway, in part 1 of this video I covered 1967 to 1977 of the BBC One and Two Christmas looks, and since the last one in 1977, we were up to a very big classic Christmas ident that year, which was the Christmas pudding, and also your rotating Christmas pudding with using the Mirror Globe's mirror, which they used properly in a Christmas ident and a classic, for those who grew up in around the 1970s. So yeah, anyway, now I hope you all really enjoy this video, and in this video we're going to cover the years 1978 up until 1984. So yeah, we were on 1977 last time, we're now going to jump straight to 1978, and BBC One this year went a bit unusual for this year, because BBC One had this, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and I'll hand you over to my voice. You're to the voice of the disembodiment. I'm joking. Anyway, enjoy. Peace.
The nightmarishly, or if you like, jolly, insanely severed head of Santa Claus, who is rotating slowly above the word Christmas and has a second face behind his normal face, or in front of it. BBC Two's look for this year, moving footage of it, eludes us. Or, well, at least the ident, but we do have this medieval-themed trailer package for that year, although not that the Middle Ages were particularly Christmassy, but there you go.
That decapitated Santa beast, if you like, may have been either jolly or terrifying, if you want to, but it did signal a need for a break to imitate the Mirror Globe with the idents at Christmas. Well, anyway, BBC One for this year embraced the rotating tableau imagery, usually based on Quality Street, as with these carol singers, once again from 1979, Snowy Wall and a gas lamp. Well, anyway, moving on to BBC Two, they had just introduced the first ever electronically ident into Britain in 1979, but for Christmas they went with the old traditions, and hence a motorised rotating snowflake, which is very nice, very good. Now into the 1980s now, and the BBC starts this decade the way they ended the 1970s, with this second rotating tableau. Since this is the year of Robin Cousins, as you can see here, everyone on this ident's ice skating. The idents are growing more vibrant and also lavish, and also, for the first time, we've got two variant versions for nighttime and for day were introduced, which means there'll be dizziness in excelsis for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. So, yeah, but anyway, very nice ident by the way too. Also plus with the snowman in the middle, in the top hat. Anyway, moving on. BBC Two meanwhile went with another rotating snowflake. Why not do it again? With some extra lighting effects and some chunky Futura lettering below. In 1981 and in September of that year, the BBC revamped the Mirror Globe for the final time, changing the yellow to a lime green colour scheme and replacing the classy Futura typeface with a double striped typeface. For Christmas they dropped the chocolate box tableau imagery in favour of a swirling flock of multicoloured baubles dangling on ribbons and with the continents drawn on them, which is really quite lovely indeed. And BBC Two's one was more abstract, with very hypnotic, with these optical illusion candles with yellow hollies on them. And a caption on the bottom reading Christmas 2, which is actually Christmas on BBC Two, or if it was a movie, it could be a sequel.
1982 saw the return of the snowflake theme, and BBC One went for this, which was a very big, elaborate prop featuring 12 separate articulatable limbs twirling independently.
BBC Two had some very pointy trees. Ow! I'm joking. Performing a shimmering jive over a equally pointy BBC Two font with a couple more trees by the side of it, just in case if you were unaware that the theme was trees. Now, moving on to 1983, and BBC One and Two both gave us a new variations on the previous year. BBC One first, they gave us another snowflake. Slightly different this time round compared to the last one. 6 branches instead of 12, but we've added holographic effects and the stripy BBC One logo in the middle. And plus, it came with a rather lovely Christmas clock as well, which is nice. BBC Two, meanwhile, had a similar theme to last year, but instead of the trees being made out of plastic, the trees are now made out of very holographic metal, which makes them very, very hypnotic, or even more so than ever in the history. I'm joking. Anyway, you could watch this for hours if you tried to. I might do that right now. As a bonus, just before we move on, I've got this little short video of the Idents of 1983 in preparation. Here we go.
Unveiled right before Nationwide on Christmas Eve.
1983 is also the year we can find any of the regional variants. Specifically for BBC Scotland, we've got this what's supposed to be a cylinder, or it could be what it looks like if when Grampian Television, or Scottish, drops a rubber axe on the head. Moving on now to 1984, and in September of that year, Michael Grade, who had just returned from America, and nephew of ATV chairman, called Lou Grade, as you can see here, became controller of BBC One, and he revitalised the channel. One of his many changes included the replacement of the Mirror Globe, which by this point had 15 years faithful service, 2 mechanical models, and it was the only live mechanical model on television by this point. Well, anyway, but we'll get on to that later. And anyway, for Christmas 1984, they've got this ident of 3 revolving snow persons, we're complete with presents, and the BBC One logo coming out at this bizarre 3-way cracker, which they've appeared to have pulled. Yep. Well, on one side it could go like, what? On the other side, this is bizarre. Well, anyway, and the snowmen, one of them also turned out to be a snow woman, at the insistence of Michael Grade's stipulation that there would be gender neutral. And, well, anyway, on the other hand, they did also make variants for daytime, evening and nighttime, so yep, and also they've got this version which they used on the bottom Boxing Day close down, which you'll see here. So here it is. It's similar to the evening ident, but it has a full moon in the background, and on close down the light went out on the ident and it looked something like this before fading to black and disappearing for the last time that year.
I'll be home for Christmas.
2 went with a ribbon stylised rendition of the holiday's name, rotating around a dangling bauble, which is pink, with the stripy BBC Two logo on it. And also as well, whilst it's very, very good, very, very lovely, well made, this image also has a bit of a tendency to throw the turntable into a bit of a relief, and it may look like the 2 is dangling in a black, dark, spooky, scary forest of horrors. Ooh. Well, anyway, I'm joking. Well, anyway, this is a very, very nice ident, very lovely, well made, once again. Well, anyway, moving on. BBC Scotland had their own ident, which apparently has some stolen mint green Toblerones from Morrison's. I'm joking. Well, anyway, they are rotating around with the mirror in the background. Very, very nice. Well, anyway, that's the end of part 2. Coming up in part 3, we've got much more to come on there, including some much more revolutionary advances as well. So, yeah, amongst other things. Well, anyway, guys and gals, I hope you've all enjoyed part 2 of this video. I really have, once again. And thank you very much for watching part 2. Don't forget to watch part 3 when it comes up, unless it's on YouTube already. And also comment, subscribe as well. And thank you very much for watching. See you in my next video. I mean part 3. Peace.